Go live. I think we're live. Daria, I can see you in the chat. Please just give me a thumbs up if we are live on YouTube, if we are live on LinkedIn. We're running this stream both on YouTube and on LinkedIn, so everybody joining us on either platform. Appreciate you. Mm, glad you came to this live with Erica. We'll be talking about personal branding. She'll introduce herself to you, and this should be a fun episode. Of course, we'll use this material from here on our socials, so the best bits will be run over again on our social media. And of course, Erica, if you want to, we can send you over the clip so you can do some cuts too. Totally up to you.
Sure.
So yeah, I think we're live, and yeah, guys, joining us is somebody that's built a personal brand, and while doing it, build a company also. I don't know which one comes first. I'll ask her that later. But Erica Rankin is our guest today, and she built her business just before COVID hit. Um, the main idea of this is that she built it with not a lot of budget and a lot of consistent posting on social media, sharing her story during the process, letting her audience know about the ups, the downs of the process, and just filming it, posting it on TikTok, posting it on LinkedIn. And now she can say that she has over 200K followers on TikTok. And also, what's even more impressive to me, 50K more followers on LinkedIn, which is a tougher platform to master. Or is it? Erica will tell more about this. But for now, Erica, thank you very much for joining. And I'll let you do the introduction. Tell the people who you are, what you do. The mic is yours.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name's Erica. I'm the founder and chief everything officer at Brodo. Brodo is basically a healthier edible cookie dough, has less sugar, added protein, cleaner ingredients, and it's totally safe to eat raw. We sell online. I built my company direct to consumer for the first 2 years. And then now we're available in about 100 stores across Canada. I guess before I was an entrepreneur, back in 2017, I graduated with a bachelor's in psychology, and didn't really have any knowledge about entrepreneurship and was heading down the path of a traditional job. I started working at a research facility at a university for about a year and a half, regular 9 to 5 job, not the best pay, contract work. I was working at a bakery as well. I was doing personal training. So at the end of the day, I was putting in 60 hours a week between these 3 different jobs, feeling super unfulfilled. Decided to quit all those jobs about like a year and a half into doing all of that, and then booked a one-way trip to Thailand. And then on my trip, I met entrepreneurs. And then when I came home, I Googled business workshop near me, and then that's kind of how it all started. But I guess that was a quick recap of how I got here.
Wow. What made you decide? What was that tipping point? I don't want this no more. I'll book a one-way trip. What was it?
So I listened. I'm going to plug him because I really like him, Andy Frisella. So he had a podcast called the MFCEO Project, and I think I started listening to it in 2017. And I would listen to it every day at my desk. So I'd go into work, I'd listen to this podcast, and I'd get so fired up. And it was talking about entrepreneurship. And he was a motivational speaker, and everything was resonating so hard with me. And I took a step back and I looked at my life, and I said to myself, like, Erica, you know what you want to do, but your actions are contradicting your thoughts and like what you actually want for yourself and for your life. And I also felt tricked in a way because the job that I had, it was very competitive to get into. You needed a undergraduate degree to get the job. And I was interviewed by 3 people. I went into this room. There was a long, like, it was like a boardroom, a long table. And then 3 different people took turns asking me questions. And it was the most intense interview I've ever had. So I thought, oh, I'm going to get a salary. This is going to be great. And I ended up getting minimum wage. I had no benefits. It was like a 45-minute drive each way. They cut my hours after my contract ended. It was just not what I thought. And my sister, who had dropped out of school and was working at a grocery store, was making more money than me. And I thought, the system is so broken. Why am I doing this? And then I decided I had enough and booked a one-way trip to Thailand, and then I ended up staying for 3 months and went through Southeast Asia. I went to Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and, when I met people who were pursuing their own thing and, like, were entrepreneurs, I had never ever seen someone, like, talk so passionately about what they did for a living, and you could see their face light up, and it was so weird to me because I grew up in a very small town. Like, I didn't have any friends who were entrepreneurs. My parents aren't entrepreneurs, and I've never like knew that that was a path that you could take. So that just kind of opened my eyes up to that path and that lifestyle, and that it's totally achievable. Like, you don't need to have a business degree. You don't need to have parents who can open doors for you. You can literally have absolutely nothing, no experience. You just have to have a willingness to learn, which I did. And I spent about 8 months learning how to start a business. And then in December of 2019, I launched Brodo.
That's amazing. But before I go and touch upon what you just said, let's go back to Andy Frisella for a bit. Like I came across him, and probably like you, I was like, who is this guy? Like, where does his energy come from? And like, why is he so angry? I mean, angry. You know, he has this kind of a tone of voice, but then you
Passion,
see it's
yeah.
just, yeah, it's just passion and this sense of urgency. So my question is, because I tried it and I failed, I have no shame. The 75 hard program. Did you ever consider it? It's his. Do you even know?
Yeah, I did. I did. I got to like day 30 something. And I just, yeah, I didn't do it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is
I came
tough.
to day 35, I think also. Then I was
Yeah.
just like, so I was like, oh my God, I'm like a zombie. Can't even like move anymore. And it's just like all this discipline all of a sudden. But yeah, even 30 days will give you some insight from
Hmm.
it. So if anybody's watching, type in 75 hard Andy Frisella, and this is like a program you'll see to upgrade your life. It's a tough one, but yeah, I know people that did it. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Erica. So you met entrepreneurs on your way while you were in the in Indonesia and places in Asia. Um, and one thing they have in common is, as you said, talking passionately about what they do. How did you discover what your passion was?
Yeah, I guess I'm still on this weird discovery journey of learning what I love and what I don't love, right? But I feel like it never ends, you know? Um in 2018 I competed in bodybuilding, and I have always been into health and fitness. And I decided to take it to the next level. And I always like to challenge myself. I'm very all or nothing. So if I do something, I want to do something like to the extreme, which can be good and bad. So I competed. I was dieting for about a year and a half. I had to get rid of a lot of my favorite treats, like, and I was making really weird things. Like, I would make pudding out of avocados. I would make brownies out of like black beans, and then I would also make like brodo, like my own version. I would make these like cookie dough bites. And when I was doing this and making all these different recipes and just experimenting in my kitchen, I was posting it on Instagram. And my Instagram handle was Erica Foodie or Erica Foodie Fitness or something at the time. And I was getting a lot of engagement. I was getting hundreds of comments, thousands of likes. People were messaging me, recreating my recipes and tagging me, and it was really cool. And people also asked if I would ever sell a lot of the things that I made, and it never even like seemed like a possibility for me at the time. I thought, no, I could never make this a business. Like, that's not me. This is just fun for me. Like, I genuinely enjoyed it, right? And then I was working my three other jobs and training, and it was crazy. And I guess when I got home from my trip and I sat down, I remember being like in my mom's living room with my notes open on my phone, and I had like pros and cons of starting my own business, pros and cons of like working a regular job, right? And I really like sat down and compared the two. And then I also wrote a list of like all the things that I'm passionate about that I can monetize, right? Like, you have to have passion, but then you also have to be adding value. And like, what do people want, right? And I kind of had proof from 2018 from all those messages from people that people wanted what I was making. And I went to the grocery store and I was trying to find like a healthier edible cookie dough, and it didn't really exist at the time. And that's why I was making a lot of these things, because especially in Canada, like out of North America, like the US, they're very progressive in terms of like the healthier, better for you snacks. They have more options there. But in Canada, I feel like we're kind of slow to the trends. And we don't really have a lot of things here, especially like in the health food sector. And especially back like in 2018, it's a lot different now. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how all of that came about. It was something that people wanted. It's something that I enjoyed. And yeah, I spent a lot of time in commercial kitchens making dough and packing dough and shipping dough and lots of dough.
Let's know. And you basically started with zero, right? With no marketing budget, not anything. How did you come up with a strategy that you benefited so greatly from in the years to come?
So I'll be very honest, I had no idea what I was doing. I knew nothing. I published my Shopify website like December 19th, 2019, and that was like a few months before the world flipped upside down, right? And my strategy was, okay, I'll sell online, and it's a perishable product, like it doesn't ship easy, which is I didn't know that. I didn't know all the challenges that I was about to drive myself into. So I thought, oh, retail would be a really good channel, but stores were closing. Stores wouldn't take my product. You know, the one store that I got into, they went under and they actually went out of business. And it was a little upsetting and frustrating. And I remember hitting publish on my Shopify website and I sat and I waited and I was like, okay, like where are the orders? And I messaged my parents and my friends and I was like, I published my Shopify site. It's live. Like it's out in the world now. And I was so nervous and anxious. And I remember they tried to Google it and they couldn't find it. And they couldn't find it on the first page. They couldn't find it on the second page. And then I had to look up, what is SEO? What is SEO and what do I do? Like, how do I get seen on Google? And then I had to learn all about that, which was a learning curve. And then because I had no money for marketing, I couldn't pay for ads. I couldn't really pay an agency to like run ads for me and do campaigns for me. So I had to like get really scrappy. And I took the approach of just building because acquiring a new customer is more expensive than keeping a current one, right? So I just really focused in on the people that were following me. Like I focused on friends and family first. I was very honest and started to build in public essentially. So I remember like going on to my Instagram story and just like talking to the camera, like, you know, it was like my best friend essentially. And like people got to know me, the founder, and all the struggles I went through. And I posted a video of like me, you know, like I would get pallets of product and stuff delivered from Uline. Uline should really sponsor me because I plugged them a lot. But I spent a lot of money with them. They would drop the delivery company would drop a pallet like either in a parking lot of the building I was living at or in the lobby, and they'd be like sign here and then they would leave and I would have to do like disassemble this pallet by myself and put them in the elevator and bring them up to my unit. And I would show all that and I showed like me pushing the boxes down the hallway, almost like, you know, like when you go to the gym, you exercise, you have the sled pushes. It was literally that with boxes. And I was showing people behind the scenes and how like it actually was building this business. And I had no money to pay for cold storage, and I was living in Ottawa, which in Ottawa in Canada it's really freaking cold here. Your car could literally be a freezer, and that's what I used it as for 3 months. I stored my products in my car, and I drove with the heat off for 3 months. And I just like wore layers and like gloves, and I picked and packed orders in my passenger seat because I had a roommate at the time, and I couldn't store like all my cookie dough in the freezer, right? Like we were sharing a space. And even sometimes when I had boxes in our living room, she would ask me like, Erica, how long are these going to be here for? And I'd have to find a plan to get rid of them, right? And then eventually I graduated and I got my own space and I reinvested and bought a freezer and had that in my living room and just continued to pick and pack and ship and just, yeah, show the journey. And I didn't really hide any pieces of it. So
Yeah, what platforms did you start on? Like, I believe TikTok was one of them.
So I started on Instagram. I've gotten a lot better, but I used to be really stubborn, like extremely stubborn. I didn't want to go on TikTok for the longest time, honestly. I had my heels dug in the sand, and I thought it's such a silly app. It's for kids. Like I'm a millennial, you know, like I don't belong on there. And then I think like early 2021, like my best friend, so she started a business and she started posting on TikTok and she sold out of all of her inventory. She was, like, it was like the small business, like, success story. Like, she had boxes and boxes, like, in her living room, and I was, like, on the sidelines watching it all happen, and I thought, "Okay, you know what? Just, like, check your ego at the door and get on there, like, do what's best for the business." So, and I'm a person who, like, I did not originally, like, growing up, I hated getting my picture taken. Doing something like this, like 2 years ago, I literally probably couldn't eat breakfast. I would be a ball of anxiety all morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I never used to be this type of person. So I had to, like, force myself to change. Otherwise, the business would suffer. So it was either, okay, you're broke, you can't afford to outsource it. So you have to figure it out yourself, or you can't build this business. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to do it for you. And you can't, like, hire talent when you have no money to pay for talent. So yeah, I got on there and I just started posting every day, and it took some time, and people can be kind of mean. I remember I took a lot of time and put a lot of effort into one video, and I posted it and it got 3 likes, and then someone commented and they're like, "Damn, 3 likes, that's rough." And I thought, okay, that's kind of rude. But you know what? I didn't let it get to me. And I think, like, maybe 3 or 4 videos after that, I had one that popped off, and I came home from the kitchen and I posted this video, and it was just like a montage of, like, the dough mixing in the mixer, and I had a voiceover on it, like a small business thing. And I had my notifications for TikTok turned off, Instagram turned off. And I remember waking up in the morning and I kept hearing my Shopify ching noise go off, like, over and over. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. Something's really wrong. And then I went on TikTok, and this video had, like, I think 150,000 views, which was a lot for me. And then I had all these emails because I could only sell in Canada, so I narrowed my window so much. But I had emails from people in, like, Europe and the US, and they're like, "How come I can't buy products? I'm trying to check out and I can't." And then I went on Instagram and I had like 200 followers because they were coming from TikTok. And then I had like 10,000 followers on TikTok, then 15, then 20,000. And this video was going viral for like a few days. And I remember thinking, okay, like, people are on my page, they're seeing my stuff. So I just need to completely, like, maximize this opportunity and put a crap ton of videos out right now answering any questions. So I just spent that day, like, going into any comments and just, like, engaging with as many, like, people as I could, and posting more videos, because people make the mistake of thinking, like, I had one viral video, I'm good. But no, that's when you need to start putting out as much content as you can, because you have eyeballs on your page. So, you know, put more content out. And then also I didn't count my inventory to a T, so I was panicking because I had about 150 orders within the span of like a day and a half or something. And half my inventory was in my living room, half was in the commercial kitchen, and again, like, it was loosely tracked. So I texted my friend and was like, "We need to go to the kitchen and make dough ASAP." And we went in till like midnight, made a bunch of dough, brought it back, and then I had a friend help me fold back boxes all weekend, and we got the orders out on the Monday. So yeah, it was crazy.
It sure was, and you just say it in a way that, like, I feel you when you say things like, I was afraid to go on TikTok, or like, I thought that this is for kids and stuff like that. I was the same, like, same stuff
Mhm.
going through my head. But if I ask you now, if you could go back, like, on the start, and with all the knowledge you have now, what would you say to the younger version of Erica who was just starting, or to anybody listening who might be starting their business and are thinking about going on TikTok? What would you tell them, how to use the platform?
I guess if I could tell myself, or if I could tell anyone anything, just, like, put stuff out there. I am a perfectionist. I'm getting a lot better. I don't really care as much anymore. But even when I went on Instagram, I'm so hard on myself. And I remember I would have my phone propped up against my laptop, and then I would have literally, like, a Word document opened with, like, what I was gonna say typed out on it, and then I'd hit record because I'd be so nervous. I'd be sweating, and, like, I would watch it back like 100 times and then be like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna re-record it." I wish I didn't rewatch things, and I wish I just posted things, you know? And I moved a lot slower because of it. So, like, I always tell people, progress over perfection. Just get stuff out there. And TikTok is like a raw, authentic platform. People go there because they want to relate, right? And you can go on and have unbrushed hair and no makeup on and be rolling out of bed. You know, people want to see that. You don't need to have a professional camera with like a fancy ring light and stuff. You just get stuff out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if I ask you a simple question now for yourself, not only for your business, but why do you use TikTok? Do you use it like as Erica also, and how do you use it?
Yeah, so I have like my Brodo one, and it's kind of intertwined. So people know me. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess, using your personal brand to build a business because I can't outsource a lot of the marketing. I have to do it myself because people know me as the face of Brodo. But TikTok has just been a really great platform to really connect, like on a more personable level with the audience, right? Like you can message followers, you can reply with videos, stitching, duetting, like when people have bought product and done reviews, like I duet and do a reaction response. And then just the ability to like get views and eyes on your page is, you know, it's pretty substantial compared to any other platform. I think it's a great platform. And I think I got on it at a time when a lot of businesses kind of thought the same way I did in like 2020, 2021. I think a lot of brands didn't look at TikTok and they thought, oh, you know, like that's not for us. And then now everyone's rushing to get on it. And we see now, if you just go and you scroll on the For You page, there's a lot more sponsored posts and there's less organic real estate. So it is a little bit tougher if you're not paying for that ad space to get seen, but it is still possible.
Yeah, and standing out on the platform, like the more people that come on the platform, the tougher it is. What is your take on here? Like how to stand out? What would you suggest people to do?
Yeah, show like everything. Don't just show the highlights. And connect with your audience. Like I will admit, like lately I've been posting a lot of trends. Trends are good. They're like, you know, a hit of dopamine, right? Like people see it and then it can pop up and go viral. But it's better to have a video that reaches the right people and converts like followers or viewers into lifelong customers, right? Like maybe you have a video that you put out that is you like having a really hard day and you just like telling people like what's going on and it reaches like 500 people, but out of those 500 people, 10 people go and buy your product because they really love, you know, what you're doing. They want to support you. Versus if you just post like a trend or like a viral type of video and you get like 100,000 views, how many of those people are really going to go and want to support you? So I think, yeah, like just putting stuff out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, because a lot of people really don't want to do it and they're uncomfortable doing it. But it's like what's gonna set you apart from the other brands that are on the platform
I
and
100%
creators, I
agree.
guess.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And this being the topic right now, you probably had a lot of tough moments in the process. I know I did. I know people, everybody that's building a business had problems. Like it's unavoidable. It's just a part of the process. Do you have like any particular case where things went completely sideways? Things went to hell, like almost, but you managed to pull through. You managed to get over it. Is there like a part of your journey that you could share here, maybe like an
Yeah, I have
example
so
story?
many. Yeah. I mean, the first month I launched my business, I had like the worst possible thing happen. I had a bunch of product spoil and I had sent it to a store and then the store had like they didn't unwrap them and then they sent them to the customers right away. And then when the customers got them, it was like hairy mold like on my dough. Like it was like really, really spoiled. And I'm a new business, right? And I was getting like tons of emails from people like wanting their money back, being upset, like I didn't even really have like a brand or a leg to stand on at the time, right? And I remember being at the top, like in I think I was like on the 10th floor of my apartment building, and I opened up the garbage chute, and I was throwing like 200 jars down the garbage chute one by one that I had just spent like 8 hours like the other week like making it because I did something wrong and it just like it spoiled. Um, and that was really upsetting. But I had some friends and I had, you know, like I pulled through it. It was okay. Like there's gonna be tough times. The past few months I've had a really hard time. I don't know what's going on. I've had depression and stuff. It does suck. But having community and having people to go to and talk to who understand it and can help you kind of see the other side of things, that's what's going to really help. But social media can be hard. It can be really hard. And especially when you start to get a following, it can put a lot of pressure on you because people kind of see you in a certain light. And if you're not living up to that standard or always feeling that type of way, it's hard to put out content when it's kind of contradicting how you're actually feeling. Um, so in terms of like content creation and staying on top of that while you're going through these hard times, like try to like record the hard times or pieces, bits and pieces of it, just kind of as little memories, I think, and then even content that you can repurpose and put out there to help people get through their hard times. That's why I think I've done so well is I've kind of been, I don't know, I've been a support system in a way to a lot of other founders because they kind of look at the stuff that I'm going through and they're like, okay, like it's not all shiny and it could look really great on the outside, but on the inside, it actually isn't really great. And journaling, I journal as well. I used to do it every day. I try to do it a few times a week and just literally brain dump everything out there. And when I'm having a really hard time, I flip back and I look at all the struggles that I went through like a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago. And then I'm like, okay, I got through that. Then I can get through this as well. So it puts things into perspective. But I know that was kind of all over the place, but you know.
No, no, it was just the way it's supposed to be. You shared the story, and I know I read your article on LinkedIn when you were like talking openly about depression and stuff. And it is something that was kind of like, if you talk about depression as an entrepreneur, you're like, come on, stop complaining, stop whining, right? Just like put on the game face and let's go on. But we're all human, and I don't know you personally, but I can tell you everything's gonna be all right. Like no matter what happens, this is something that we all have to accept. Life is not just like something that's easy. The struggle is where we grow, and seeing you reflect back on it, probably in your diary or whatever, gives you the strength that wouldn't be there if that didn't happen. So it's super important, and I thank you for speaking about it online, like on your social media channels. As you noticed, like you help people with that. Like it's not in the likes, it's not in the comments, it's in the like the actual person you touch who just reads it. And I think that's beautiful. So yeah, my hats off to that. And while we're at LinkedIn, let's touch upon this platform too, because the content is super different from TikTok, right? It's like the people that are on LinkedIn are way more using it way more professionally, like to position themselves in different environments of other entrepreneurs or like people that work in marketing, blah blah blah. What would you say is the reason for your successful strategy on LinkedIn? Can you touch LinkedIn the way you touch TikTok and just describe the process a bit?
So I only went on LinkedIn because I couldn't grow my business any further. I think it was like August or September of 2020. I needed a mentor, and I had like a group of friends around me who were super supportive. They were really awesome, but if I went to them with my problems, they couldn't help me. And I didn't know any entrepreneurs. I didn't know anyone who was doing what I was doing. I was building a food business. I had no network. I think I had 12 connections at the time on LinkedIn. And I went on there and I, you know, upgraded my profile picture. I think the picture I had in there was from like high school, like grade 9 or 8 or something. It was super old. Dusted off my profile, like kind of revamped it for, you know, the new path that I was pursuing. And then I just went to like every single founder's profile. Like I looked around my apartment and I was like, what food products do I buy that I enjoy? And I started researching their teams and the founders and the CEOs. And then I just started connecting with them. And then I went through their connections and started connecting with all their connections. And anyone who I thought could add value to me in some shape or form, I connected with. And I didn't immediately go in with an ask. I started building out relationships first. So I would go in, I would comment, I would engage with people, I would hop on calls with people and see if there were synergies or if there's ways that we could help each other. And I ended up I did find some mentors. One of the first people that I reached out to was Susie York from Love Good Fast. She's an incredible female entrepreneur based out of Toronto. she's done crazy things and she's giving back a lot to the CPG community. But the other side of things, when I went on LinkedIn, and I was also going through a very hard time when I started posting on LinkedIn. And I was scrolling on my homepage and it was very toxic positivity. So it was, like we raised X amount of money, we hired 10 more employees, we launched into 5 new accounts. And everything that could go wrong was going wrong for me in my business. And I thought that I was doing things wrong. I felt really bad about myself and where I was. I was comparing myself. And after having several calls with other startup founders, I learned that a lot of us are going through the same problems and no one talks about it. No one posts about it. Everyone kind of holds their cards really close to their chest. And it was confusing to me because that's all I wanted. I wanted to like see someone go through the same things that I was going through to make me feel less alone. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to start posting everything. And if it can help one person, then my job is done. And one of the first posts that I put was a picture of me in my car. And I talked about how I used my car as a freezer for my product because I couldn't afford a freezer. And then I had again, Uline. I had a bunch of Uline boxes in the back of my Jeep. And then from there on, I just continued to post about the journey. And I was struggling with a bunch of other things. I had eating disorders. I posted about that, helped a few people, referred a few people to my therapist, actually. And just, I've been, it's great for me. I'm using it as a marketing platform, but on the flip side, my why is to help other people because I know how tough it is. And it's tough putting yourself out there. It's tough building a business. And if I can help one person just by putting something out there, if it's a little bit uncomfortable for me, then so be it, whatever. I started to realize how big of an impact that it has with the things that you put out there. And it's not the likes, it's not the comments, it's not all of that. It's who's seeing it, right? Like maybe someone really needs to see it and you're going to reach the right person with it. So
Exactly. And if you touch one person and you make a change for them, or you just make them feel better, or comfort them, you've done your job. Like using social media in this way is super important. uh, Something you said, I really want to touch upon it a little bit more. Toxic positivity.
mm,
um, it's something that when you're on autopilot, which most people are, and you're scrolling through social media, and you see this toxic positivity or this hustler mentality, um, what would you suggest to somebody that feels that they're not enough when they see stuff like that?
I think it's just I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. I read a lot of books. I try to fill my head with realistic stuff, right? That's key. And even I completely changed and revamped my Instagram. I unfollowed a bunch of accounts. I followed new ones. It's what you expose yourself to. That's what you're going to train your brain to, if you're seeing that stuff all the time, that's how you're going to think. So I think just become aware of the stuff that you're putting into your head and the stuff you're showing yourself on a regular basis. And start having open, honest conversations with other entrepreneurs. Try to find a little community for you to be a part of, and have real conversations. I think that's the secret because I fell victim to hustle culture. I didn't take care of myself. I went from bodybuilding and working out 7 times a week to never working out, eating horribly, not getting enough sleep. And I completely neglected myself because I thought that's what it took to build a business. And now I got back into a routine. I go to bed at a certain time. I wake up at a certain time. I work out. I take, 1 or 2 days off a week. For the most part, to get outside, go on a hike, and I don't feel guilty about it anymore because when I come back to my business, I can put in way more effort and energy than if I were to just drag it out for the full 7 days. Wouldn't you rather put in 100% one day or 2 days than 20% scattered throughout a bunch of days because you're not taking care of yourself? So yeah.
Yeah, being on the offense basically is what you're saying. Not falling into the victim mentality, but doing whatever you can like what you can control what you can control, and just like
Mhm.
prioritize yourself, right? Like your social, it's your social media feed. It's not like, it's not the social media's fault that you are like falling constantly into this pressure in your head. Am I doing enough? Look what that girl's doing, look what this guy's doing. It's about, yeah, unfollowing and just following new people. I did that like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it completely changed the way I saw social media from that point on. And it's also on TikTok, like the algorithm will just learn so fast, and if you don't optimize it, you will be seeing dumb shit all the time. And like if you're using the platform to get some knowledge out of it, like obviously you are, this is the best way to do it, to kind of take action in how you want to, what content you want to see on For You page, and then you have the following page. But next to Andy Frisella, you said you read a lot of books. I love reading also. Can you name from the top of your head like 2 or 3 books that you would recommend everybody who's on like a journey to read?
I read Atomic Habits. That was probably one of the most powerful books that I read, and it's just it can yeah, it's good. It can be a hard read. It's kind of textbooky a little bit, but I took psychology, so I really like that. And I've like implemented a lot of the things that were taught in that book into my daily routine. I read a book. It's more consumer packaged goods focused, but it's called Playing to Win. That was a really good book. I'm reading Wealth Habits right now by Candy Valentino, I believe, because I'm just learning how to like not be horrible with my money and learn how to like budget and invest, and because that's all new to me. And then I just bought the 12-hour walk by Colin O'Brady. He is someone that everyone should look into. He's an incredible entrepreneur and person all around. I listened to a podcast. He was on Ed Milet's podcast, and I recommend you guys checking that out as well. I'll just plug them away. I think I listened to it 3 times. But he was talking about, we were touching on like the lows and how that comes with entrepreneurship, right? Like you have the 1 out of 10s and the 2 out of 10s and the low lows and almost like negative 500s out of 10s. Sometimes you feel horrible. But then you have the 10 out of 10s and the 9 out of 10s. And I think, you have to take the good with the bad, and you could just, go to, working a mediocre job that you're kind of happy at, but you're going to only get those 5 or 6s or maybe 7s out of 10s. You're never going to get the 10 out of 10s. You're never going to get the 9 out of 10s. So I think that really put things into perspective for me. And I remember, okay, like when things are so good, they're so good, and it feels, amazing. And it's hard to not ride that high because you'll come crashing down sooner or later. But just recognizing that there's highs and there's lows, and you can't experience one without the other. So,
Yeah, totally agree. What about people to follow on social media? Who's an inspiration to you? Who does for you what you do to some people?
um, yeah, like again, I'm an RTA syndicate. That's like Andy Frisella's business group. I follow him. Like I love him. I love Andy Frisella, Ed Milet too. Like they have this business group. Candy Valentino, Wealth Habits. I just started following her. Um, I used to like Tony Robbins. I follow him, and I've listened to some of his stuff as well. Trying to think of who else that I have in there
Come on,
that
you
I
gotta say
that I
Gary
follow.
V. You gotta say Gary V.
Yeah, I wasn't really. He's yeah. I follow him. I'm like not like a V. What are they called? What are they called?
Oh,
Yeah, I do have him. I do follow him. Um, but in terms of like, I guess the industry that I'm into, like in food and beverage, like Susie York, I'll plug her because she's just a really great person and she adds a lot of value to the food and beverage community. Um, but yeah, the two that I mainly follow is Ed and Andy for sure.
yeah. Awesome, awesome. And when we are talking about like having all this information, like surrounding yourself with all this information that you talked about, that you just talked about, reading books, following people, um, how do you deal with all this information? Like, do you use a specific method to then implement those things into your business, or are you more like just like this kind of a flowy person that just lets things fall into place? How do you tackle your day like around business?
I am a little bit of both, I would say. I used to be very like analytical and apply things and be very regimented and strict and things, but that's not always how things work with business. Like you pivot, things change. Like you could write a business plan and it's always going to change. Usually like 99% of the time it's not going to go as you planned. Um, in terms of like personal development stuff, I read stuff and I listen to stuff and then I just try to make like small changes. And I think it's in Atomic Habits that I think this is in Atomic Habits. I could be wrong, but they were talking about like waking up earlier, for example. Like that was something that I always wanted to do. Like this year was my goal to like wake up earlier. And you do it in increments, right? So it's like then the following week, instead of waking up at 9 a.m., you wake up at 8:45, and then you do that for 2 weeks, and then you wake up at 8:30, and then 8:15, and then 8. So I would just like do that and do it in bits and pieces and not overwhelm myself as well. And then same with like the business, I just implement things slowly. I don't try to do too much at once because I think people can get very overwhelmed. And you don't want to be changing things all the time either. So,
Yeah, like you need to have some routine, right? If you want to
mhm.
gradually build, or you can just completely change everything from day to day or week to week. But yeah, I don't think it's in Atomic Habits. I don't remember it, but it does kind of sound like something that could be in there. So I'm not sure too. But do you think this is necessary when it comes to like entrepreneurship? It's so important to have this constantly expanding growth mindset. Um, do you think that it's more important to seek information or take action and learn by that?
Take action. So they're like you see it all the time, and I have friends too who they have business ideas, right? They have ideas, they're gonna do things, but they don't ever, right? It's the same thing like every year, like I'm gonna do it, I have this idea, I'm gonna do it, and then they don't because they're not ready. They don't feel ready. And you're never going to feel ready. It doesn't matter at what stage you're at with your business. Like you could launch your business and then it's like, okay, now I'm getting too big. I need to hire like 3 employees, but I don't feel ready. I don't feel ready to hire 3 employees. But you have to. You're never going to feel ready, and you need to keep doing the uncomfortable things to move the needle forward. And you learn as you go as well, right? Like I didn't. I remember when I like last year, my goal was to go on like at least like 20 podcasts, and I think in January, like I went on my first one, and it was so nerve wracking for me, and I didn't feel ready at all. I did not feel ready. I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to because it was something that I did want to do, even though it was very uncomfortable. And then now, like, this is very comfortable for me. And the next thing is public speaking, which I absolutely am terrified by. And I've been traumatized through my high school experiences because it's just not something that I like, but I want to do it. And my goal is to do it this year at least 3 times. So it's just constantly pushing yourself to do things and understanding that you're going to suck at the beginning, probably. Same with going back to like Andy Frisella. He like listens to his first podcast and he cringes. He's like, I hate listening to them. They're so horrible. But then here's me at my desk when I was like 23 years old listening to these, thinking they're the best thing on the face of the earth. So I think we're also very critical of ourselves, right? So don't have or was it paralysis by overanalysis? Like just move. You're never going to be ready.
Offense, offense, offense.
Yeah.
So you never did public speaking like as the Brodo creator?
I did a little bit. Like I did a couple in 2021. Just very small, like as a part of a panel in front of like 100 people, which again, like I dreaded it all day, but I wanted to do it. I've always wanted to do it. But I grew up like in high school, I was very awkward. I was very shy. I would present to my teacher one on one because I wouldn't want to stand in front of the class. And because I trained myself to, you know, not put myself out there and not be in front of people, it's extremely hard for me to do it now. And I almost wish that my teachers were a little meaner and forced me to present in front of the class instead of letting me take the easy way out. But it makes it more of a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, can I share a story with you because I was like in the same position. I do a lot of like I'm speaker at events and stuff, but I'm from an industry that's marketing, so like they need people like us to come on the stage and talk about stuff. I was so terrified of one thing particularly, that somebody from the audience will ask me a question that I don't have an answer to. I was so terrified of that. But then, like, what switched for me, like how it all changed, and I enjoy it now so much. I love it. Like, I love being on stage. I love talking to people. Was this one realization that I'm there for them and not to present myself. And when I started looking at it like that, I had nothing to lose because I knew that the things I'll talk about will bring value. And even if somebody asked me a question I didn't have an answer to, I would be completely honest and say, look, this is not my, like, I don't have that experience, so I cannot share it with you. But this is what I would do in this situation, theoretically, something like that. And
Mhm.
as I got like to that point of the fear, when I was like staring at my fear in the eyes, because it happened, of course it happened. People asked me questions I had no idea about, and in a rude way. Like, how can you be like talking about this stuff while you only did this and this and this and not that? And I'm standing there and I'm watching back and I'm like, oh shit, here it goes. But when you go through it, you'll see. Same way. This fear is like the fear you're feeling is totally absurd. Like you don't need it. But you'll go through it. Yeah, you do need it in some way because it will push you forward. But yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
trying to share this with you because I
it's
understand.
valuable.
I understand
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you're there for them. Like nobody cares. This
Yeah.
is something.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
really, it's
Yeah.
comforting.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what are kind of the plans when you look into the future, when you probably do some visualizations of where you want to be, how you want to like take this entrepreneurial journey on, where is Erica in like 3 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
I don't know. I look back like because I started my business like a little over 3 years ago, and I never thought that I'd be here where I am, right? I kind of look at myself as a completely different person. So I want to continue to grow and learn and add value and give back as much as I can. And I want to grow my company. So I want to grow myself and I want to grow the company and continue to expand into retail. We're launching into the US soon this year. And a friend and I are starting a new project, so we're going to see how that goes. But that's really exciting. So I'm stoked to see where that goes.
Is it a secret still?
Not really. So we're starting a podcast. So
Oh
that's the ground
yeah.
level. So we're laying the groundwork, and then we're gonna kind of build on that. And we have some very ambitious plans, but yeah, this is kind of like the starting point for that to get there. So
That's amazing. Like guys, just like follow Erica on LinkedIn. This is like I'm not promoting or anything, but you will get value. And if you're putting a podcast out, I think people should definitely follow you because when you start with the podcast, you go like 5 levels up as a like a personal brand and as somebody that shares knowledge because you are forced to. Because when that first episode comes, it's all fun. Second, third, 10th, okay, now what we do, how do we provide value further? So I'm super excited for you. That's a very good way to promote your business and also your personal brand. If you ever expand to Europe, like if you'll have that in plans, you can contact me. I have some connections that might be able to help you with even logistics or anything because we built some company. I mean, I helped some companies build to a point where they needed to go to the US market, and it's just like the same process, just inverted.
mhm.
So like if you'll need any assistance, I'll be happy to pitch in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of course, it's my pleasure. Is there anything, Erica, that you think people should know about you or you would like to share with this audience, like from the top of your head, like something we might have not touched upon, but would be valuable from your side?
Mm, I guess I don't know. People look at me and they think I have it all figured out and that I know what I'm doing, and I'll admit that, like, I don't really. I've like Google has been my best friend, podcasts and books have been my best friend. I literally like like when I launched my website and I Googled what is SEO. And then before that, I Googled business workshop near me and I drove 40 minutes to the closest business resource center and I learned how to write a business plan, manage cash flow. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've wasted a lot of money here and there. But like there's nothing that I would change about the experience. And I'm very blessed for the struggles that I've been through because it's made me a stronger person. And while it does suck to, be a 20 something year old entrepreneur with not a lot of money and has to hustle, I really understand the value of a dollar. And I was forced to learn a lot of aspects of my business and wear all the hats. And not many have the privilege of doing that. So I think find blessing in the struggle is the messaging that I'll leave people with.
No, that's a lovely one, guys. We are coming to an end. So if anybody has any questions or comments about or would like to ask Erica something, please write them down, and we'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that in case something comes in. Brian sends you love. He's excited for the podcast and says that you'll crush it. So that's a little bit of positivity from the comment section. But from my side, I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy woman and that you have a lot of important stuff to do, and taking time for this, like smaller podcasts or lives or whatever, is something I really do appreciate. And all the people that come here have a story to share. And from my personal experience, this is why I love it so much, because I learned some stuff from your side right now. You gave me a little bit of courage on like particular areas where I am also struggling. um but yeah, this is what it's all about, like social media connecting people, right? So yeah, Erica, thank you very much once again. Hope we'll stay in contact. We'll be watching your story. We'll be watching your growth. So here's a little bit of pressure. I know you won't feel it, but yeah, uh, we all were. And I wish you tons of support and all the best with your business and your, more importantly, yourself. Keep growing, keep going, and I hope you reach wherever you want to go. So with that, I will leave you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See you.
See you.
Bye. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll be sharing this later on our social media. This was one fun episode with Erica. Yeah, entrepreneurship is a bitch sometimes, and she knows it, and she's just going through it like we all are. So thanks for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.